Hello and welcome to this special Scottish Football Show podcast with title-winning Dunfermline boss James McPake. Just days after clinching the League One Championship, James reflects on the club's achievements and how he has grown as a manager. At a time when the role is proving so precious, McPake describes the emotional and mental toll that comes with being sacked as a football manager and how he's used that to his advantage. Dunfermline will return to the Scottish Championship as League One champions after they demolished Queen of the South 5-0 at the weekend. It's been a sensational campaign from the Pars, which has seen incredible attendances this season, and I'm delighted to say we're also joined by their manager, Mr. James McPake. Hello, sir. Good weekend?
Yeah, it was quieter than my last promotion and I soaked it up, and great to have my kids here. My wife and my kids at the game, the same with all the players as well, because the last time, and for a lot of them, they've had a wee bit of success through COVID where no families were there. So as good as it was winning a league, it was extra special, the fact that we had all our families here. And I had a slight headache on Sunday, but now I'm back to work.
It's obviously a feeling you've had before, but it's different, isn't it? Like, how do you compare the two?
Well, this question was probably asked to me at the start of last week before we had won the league. I'd have probably said it's similar, but winning a league is really special. I think in that full group, if you include the staff, and we've got staff in there, like Dave Mackay, for example, he's played 600 games, he's won a Scottish Cup, captain of a Scottish Cup winning team, but it's his first time of winning a league, and there were only 3 players or 3 other people in that group that had won a league before. So it is a special occasion, and it doesn't matter what level it's at, to go and win a league. It's over 36 games, obviously. We managed it in 33. So to go and do that, and it's extra special, this one. It's over the course of a season. Yeah, the playoffs are great, but you're fighting all the way, and then you're still worried or whatever. And that's not to say we weren't worried or we were overconfident about winning the league, but just in front of the fans. And I'm actually glad now. We could have won it at Peterhead had Montrose taken something against Falkirk, but now, and it's not just because it's done now, but I'm really delighted that we did win it at home in front of a really good Dunfermline crowd.
Although you smashed my team 5-0, thanks very much.
Well, he's on a great, to be fair to Marvin and his team, what a great run for him.
True.
We were the last team to beat them down there at Palmerston, and then I think they've won every game since. So it was always going to be a tough game, but credit to the Dunfermline players, who made it pretty easy on the day.
I was going to ask you about the fans, James, because you mentioned them there. Obviously, doing it at home, the fans have been so good this season, haven't they? I know one of the guys that's in the kind of Ultras group, and they've really pushed on this season, haven't they, to help create that atmosphere?
Oh, they have, Laura. It's been incredible. Something I didn't expect, I'll be honest. I've spoken about this in the press a lot. Any time I had been to Dunfermline, for them that it's familiar with it, you walk down the staircase when you got off the bus, you get into the away dressing room, and you get back on your bus and away you go. Now, you always do know that they're a passionate crowd when their team's going well. I've taken teams there before, and I've played there before when it's been tough, but just seeing the support the crowd give us, and the backing, and probably something I was a bit ignorant to is the fact it's now a city, but when I joined it was a town, and there's only one club there. I've not been used to that. Other clubs I've worked at, played at, there's been rivals in that city, whether that be Hearts when I was at Hibs, whether it be Dundee United when I was at Dundee, or even at Coventry, where you had loads of rivals in the Midlands. So there were never really that place. Coventry was maybe similar, but in terms of with the way the city has got behind the football team, really surprised me in a really good way. And I was really proud of that as well, and proud that we could send that fantastic group away that were at the game. I'm really happy, but also knowing that we had so much support in Australia. is Finley's sitting there. We had people from all over the place sending messages and watching the game on Pars TV. So it certainly opened my eyes up to the football club, and I'm delighted for the fans in particular, and that ultras group. They're phenomenal. The atmosphere they generate, and I think that's credit to the football club and the owners as well, because they brought in things in place that made the tickets cheaper for the younger kids, and seeing the next generation of Dunfermline fans coming through, and the noise they make is brilliant. It's a proper atmosphere when we get the place going.
Something I've actually never really thought of, asking guys like yourself who have not long finished playing, but wouldn't have really experienced that sort of crowd, because it is something that's happened recently in Scottish football. It started to really build up in the last kind of few years. How much would you like that when you were playing, to kind of play in front of that sort of crowd?
I've managed against it. Like when I took a team to Ibrox and you've got the wee corner over there. I took a team to Celtic Park with the Green Brigade. I played there when the Green Brigade were going. Motherwell have got a little corner over that side that I played in front of as well. So Hibs have got the section, but nothing the way it is now, and I think it's great for the game. The atmosphere they bring, and the drums are going, and I've got 3 young kids, a 3-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 9-year-old, and they love going to the football because the atmosphere. So that just shows what those sections at every club are bringing, and for me it's fantastic. And I know all our owners are German, and my brother was actually over at the St. Pauli game this week, and they're obviously famous for it. And he says the atmosphere they generated, but that was a full stadium. So other countries are doing it, and we're now starting to pick it up in Scotland, and it's fantastic for the game, not just for Dunfermline but for every club, and the more clubs that get it, the better, because you want to be going to grounds where whether you're going into a team's ground and that atmosphere is there. It's great to coach in, and you're right, I just wish I had played in front of that.
You're a month away from a full year in charge at Dunfermline, which has come about off the back of laterally quite a difficult time at Dundee. Do you feel like that experience changed you? Has it changed you much as a manager since it all happened?
Oh, massively. I think I must say I'm really proud, along with my staff that worked at Dundee with me, and 2 of them are at Dunfermline, and Dave Mackay and Martin Hartley. We're really proud of the job we've done there. Now, people will have different opinions. That's football. In the end, I lost my job, and I still do believe that I would have done enough to keep Dundee in the Premiership. But we're proud, particularly of the younger players that are coming through, and they're now all playing in the first team. We had them when they were 15. Now, it's not down to us. I'm not taking the credit for that. Some of it I will take, because we gave them their debuts. We had them in the under-18s. But I'm proud of that side in particular, probably more so than the promotion. I'm proud of seeing those young kids, because that was my background really into coaching, was in the academy. I had a couple of great conversations when I did get sacked. One in particular was with Derek McInnes, and again, I'll just be brutally honest. I got sacked, and I didn't want to go round to the wee Tesco that's 2 minutes from my house. I didn't want to bump into anyone. I didn't want to meet my neighbours in the street. And it's when Derek phoned me and said, you need to get out, and you've done a good job, don't be ashamed. And I think he was doing it, and Derek's obviously experienced that at his time at Aberdeen, his time at Bristol City. And I'm not sitting here saying Derek's someone I speak to all the time, but I felt it was really good of him to he picked the phone up and have that conversation. And from that, I went out, I done some media work. And then the other thing he told me to do was just reflect, but in a way that probably isn't natural to human beings, where you want to hear the good stuff. But I picked the phone up to the people closest to me in football and asked them what I'd done wrong. And I says, you need to be brutally honest with me. And there were a lot of that, trust me, what I'd done wrong. And that's one thing, saying that and listening to it from people. But I kind of made a promise to myself that whatever I was told, I was going to assess it, and then I was going to act on it and try and become better. I wasn't planning on getting back into management as quick as I did, but I was already working on that side of it. There were a lot I got wrong. And to be honest, I'm still a rookie manager. I've only managed, I think it's 148 games, so there's still lots I do get wrong, I'm sure. But I think I'm a more rounded person, never mind a more rounded manager for that experience. You can have all the experience you want as a player, You can play in big games, you can have a 20-year playing career, experience injuries, relegations, cup wins, whatever it may be, cup finals, cup defeats in my unfortunately for me in my experience, but cup final defeats. But no, I went away and I took the time to reflect on that, but also get myself back out and probably get rid of being ashamed of that. Now, I feel bad saying it. I was ashamed when it's a game of football, but it was my job. It was what I was living for at the time in terms of our work. So I was ashamed of getting sacked and I shouldn't have been, but I got out and I met people. I went to games, took a lot of games in and watched some stuff. And then probably the biggest thing for me, I spent a lot of time with my kids because I felt
lovely.
that neglect is probably the wrong word to use, because I don't want to say I neglected my kids and it comes across the wrong way, but I didn't spend enough time with them. I think my youngest was born while I was a manager of Dundee. We had a game. Thankfully, I missed that game because I don't think my wife would have let me let that go if I hadn't missed the game. And Dave couldn't manage to win that game in the Betfred Cup at the time, so I bring that up to him quite often. But spent a lot of time with them, and then I went and got surgery, so I had a lot of time to think about the bad stuff. Really, I wasn't too interested in the good stuff because I knew at some point I would then look at that. I never got the chance to look at it because I was back in so quickly, but I was glad I'd done it that way, and I feeling better. I know I'm not talking myself up, but I've got some players that I'm working with that I worked at Dundee with as well, in terms of Sam Fisher was on loan, Paul McGowan, the staff and Martin and David who I spoke about, and I same the difference. Like I'm not looking for compliments. I'm more looking for, is there anything better I can change, or have I changed enough? Do I need to change again?
Yeah.
And it's been pretty positive. There has been bad days. I'm not going to sit here and say I've been perfect since I left Dundee. There has been bad days, but the experience certainly has helped me. And now looking back, it's probably the best thing in terms of my management career that's happened to me.
It's really fascinating to listen to you explain all of that, because in this podcast we've had a debate kind of how Scottish football kind of deals with its managers. We've just seen at the weekend Callum Davidson's lost his job at St Johnstone, and it is difficult. And what you've just detailed there is the ups and downs, and in a way you've said yourself, it could have been one of the best things to happen to you. But there are so many nuances in all of this, where family's involved. It's all consuming football. It's amazing. But one thing I'd like to touch on is just the people that you ended up entrusting with some information and whatnot, and bringing them to Dunfermline. It's all about you've built a strong network of friends that you work with, and the squad. And how much have you enjoyed building that this season?
Yeah, that was really important, and I do believe we had that at Dundee as well. We had a great group there of players that we felt were, and that's probably the reason why I'm not adamant, but that's probably the reason I'm so confident we would have kept them up, because the players were still with us. You hear the cliche all the time, you've lost the dressing room, you've lost this, that. Now, I don't believe in that. Some people will, but maybe I don't believe in it because I don't think I've experienced it yet. But that team at Dundee had just went to Tynecastle, and apart from Celtic and Rangers at that season, we're the only team to win at Tynecastle. We were just in the quarterfinals or one to get into the quarterfinals of the Scottish Cup. So the players were still playing. Players, as much as people will say players can down tools, yeah, maybe some, but players have also got their motivation. They want to progress their career. They want to earn their bonus money. Whatever it may be. They want to get to Hampden for a semi-final. So they want to stay in a league. So I didn't quite agree with that side, or I don't agree with when you hear when a manager does leave, he's lost the dressing room. That's just my opinion on it. But in terms of the staff I brought, it was really critical when I went into Dunfermline, and it was a risk from me actually. Now looking back, when the owners came to my house to meet me, that, and in no uncertain terms, I says I need Dave Mackay with me and I need Martin Hartley with me. Now, I wasn't in a position really. I had been sacked 8 or 9 weeks earlier, so my stock wasn't high where I could go in and demand certain things, but I knew to do the job properly and to give myself the best chance and to give probably Dunfermline the best chance under us, then I had to have those two with me. So I believe in that, and probably the reason I believe in it so much is that they're not afraid to tell me when I'm wrong, and I think that's so important. And they probably tell me that every week, or every day actually, 3 or 4 times. So I think that's healthy. I've been in dressing rooms, I've been in clubs where you maybe have a manager and the assistant manager just agrees with everything they say, the coaches agree with everything they say, and even as a player I didn't agree with that. I always thought that not so much confrontation, but whatever you want to call it, the debate is so important, because sometimes you get blinkered with a certain player, a certain way of playing, and you just go with it. So I believe you need people that you can trust wholeheartedly to back you, but also to go against you in terms of privately when they think you're doing something wrong. And that's what those two do. I've been very fortunate as well at Dunfermline that my first day, Dave was still an employee Dundee, so we had to work a wee bit to get him out of there, by hook or crook, and we managed to do that. So I met somebody, Gary Monty, who worked with John Hughes. He's worked at the club for years, and just to put a bit of context into this story, I was in a straight leg knee brace. Like I couldn't drive. I needed people to carry my wash bag. I needed people to carry my laptop bag, and the only person that was there the first day was Monty, and the relationship I've since built with him. He's now part of that group, so it's fantastic. And I never believed that I could probably add people to that group, because I'm one of those people that keeps everyone, anyone that gets close, then I need to trust them wholeheartedly. And Monty's shown that we can do that with him, and he's been a massive part of it as well. And then you add on Mo, the kit man, everyone. It's clicked for us for some reason. It really has clicked, and it's a fantastic place to work. And that's why I think we're all enjoying it so much.
I just need to say quickly, James, if it's any consolation, my granddad, who's 92 years old, lifelong Dundee fan, he was absolutely raging when they got rid of you.
Nah, you're just saying that, aren't you?
I'm not. I took him, actually, interestingly, to see the game against Motherwell when Laura was actually still working at Motherwell, so she was freezing our bum off on the sidelines, capturing all the stuff. But it was a game that Dundee won 3-0, and they were brilliant. Like and my granddad was just like, he was buzzing anyway, because he hadn't been to football for a long time. Watching the team that day, I was just like, they might not get a result every week, but there was more than enough going on. I was like, you'd be confident to stay up. It blew my mind, and my granddad was absolutely raging. So if he's a kind of a cross section of the support, then if that's any consolation. But it's turned out very much, kind of Dundee's loss has been Dunfermline's gain, and it's been such a sensational season. Just looking forward to next year going up. You've already got the experience of having managed not just in League One, not just in the Championship, but at the top level as well. Do you feel going into next season you'll be prepared for that your experience as a manager so far, albeit you're a relatively young manager, will stand you in good stead and the team in good stead? And are you already putting those things in place for a really good season in the Championship next year with Dunfermline?
Well, first and foremost, thank your granddad for that, because that's lovely to hear, and I'm glad we could make him happy that day. Sorry, Laura, for you that day. They were just excellent. No, look, I think we've got a lot of players in our squad at the minute that have played in the Championship. Craig Whiting's won the Championship a couple of times. Kyle Benedictus has won it. So there's enough experience there. So even without talking about me, I think we're pretty well equipped to go up to that league and do okay. Now, that's the aim at the start. We want to go up and do okay. We said that in this league, and that's where our owners are really good. They sat in my house, and at the start I didn't believe them, because they're saying there's no pressure to get promoted. There's no promotion. We don't even want to speak about promotion. We just want to win games. We want to get back to being a football club that win games. And when they walked out, I'm kind of thinking, it's Dunfermline, they're in League One, and are they really telling the truth? And we've not really hit a bad patch to see that, but I've had enough conversations with them now that I do believe them. In terms of my experience, I think it is going to help. Dave's obviously there as well, so the two, Martin's there, so the two A's have done it in terms of getting a team out of that league, but that doesn't make it easy. We know that it's a tough league, as has League One been this year. I think it's a really good standard this year with the teams that are in it. Airdrie are excellent.
Yeah.
When they're on their day, they can hurt any team. Falkirk are in the semi-final of the National Cup, so it just shows you the quality they've got. Brian Rice is a fantastic coach and manager that's got Alloa playing some really good football and will trouble anyone in the playoffs, which I think they get that confirmed pretty soon. So going into the league, it certainly helps me know it, because I can say that because I was worried about coming into this league because I didn't know it. I spent 2.5 years. It would have been free if COVID hadn't come in, so that season was obviously cut short. And it's a tough league, but I do think experience in the league helps. That's not to say, I mean, you look at Dundee and Gary Bowyer's never experienced the championship and he's doing well at Dundee, so it's not to say it's a be all and end all, but I've taken a team to Greenock in November when it's freezing. I've done the same at Ayr. Like, so all those wee things that you know what to expect. Arbroath, like, we've had that. And to be fair to our players as well, when we played Partick Thistle in the Scottish Cup, we lost in penalties. In my opinion, we should have been out of sight. We beat Arbroath in the SPFL Trust Trophy 5-1. It was 5-1. Went up to Dundee, and for 80 minutes in that game, we were very much in the game. So that's 3 games in isolation, really. So you can't judge that. We've got 36 of them next year in the Championship, potentially more, not knowing what happens if you end up in the playoffs. Now, that's just a big dream, and we'll see what happens. But no, I think it does help. And I think managers you've seen in the past that have been in that league, like Robbie Nielsen, for example, has won it with Hearts twice. He's won it with Dundee United. So I think there's an element of that as well when you've got managers that go in there that are used to that league, that know that league, then it can certainly help. And on the other side of that, when I went into the Premiership with Dundee, I'd only played in that league. I'd never coached or managed or set a team up in that league, so I know how hard that was. So I'm looking forward to getting into a league that I know, but I'm under no illusion that it's going to be easy. And just because I've been in that league and got out of that league before, then it's going to happen again. Unfortunately, that's not the way it works. But no, plans are in place. We started that in January, not just for the Championship, but just to progress Dunfermline Athletic as a football club. We've been trying to get pre-contracts done. We've been trying to tie up the players we feel can help us on the journey, and I think we'll be okay in the league next year.
You talked about the ownership. I'm really intrigued by what the dynamic is with the ownership. It's really interesting, really having German owners and people when working in different sports as well, being part of all of that, and then being interested in Dunfermline is quite fascinating. But how have you found having that sort of relationship compared to ones in the past, and how is it working for you?
Well, to be fair, at Dundee, the owners are American. One of them that does stay in Scotland, though, and Tim, who was always excellent with me, he's in Austin, Texas. So, but they weren't as involved as the ones that, I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing, I'm just giving the story, but the ownership they've been excellent. It is a strange dynamic. We've got an Olympian water polo player, I believe. I hope I've not got that, or a polo player that's part of the consortium. We've got Thomas, who was a fantastic player in his day with St Pauli. Manny St Pauli was a sporting director. We've got Nick, who in his own right is a very, very successful businessman. And then the rest, that I'm not wanting to trip up here and miss someone out. The rest that I've met them all, but they've been very supportive when they've been over. And then David, who is the CEO and the chairman of the club, is a Dunfermline fan. So there's a mix of everything there, but the relationship's great. And one thing that they're very clear on, and I know it might come across, it's easy to say because things have went well, but even at the very start, they were kind of, they gave us a lot of confidence in the fact that they says we expect bad runs, we expect bad times, but what we want to do is kind of press the reset button and build this football club now, build it back, however long it takes. And that's why I go back to what I said there. They never said we need promotion. They never said anything like that. All they've ever said is what I said: show that we can win games, try and play a certain way of football. But the relationships are great. The communication is fantastic. I don't think I could speak to them anymore, even if they were in the club every day. I probably speak to Thomas every day of the week. I speak to who Thomas is in Hamburg. I speak to David, who's at the club, every day of the week, as does Dave. Nick's on the phone now and again, and the relationships they're fantastic. That it's never a case of you need to pick this player, you need to do this, you need to do that. We just have a conversation. They ask what the team is, how we're going to play, and I'd be a fool not to listen to Thomas's advice as well, because he's had a fantastic career, and I'm a young manager, and I'm always trying to learn. I'm always trying to get better. So I love opinions. I love listening to other people and what their thoughts on the game are. So no, the dynamic's great and the situation's great. The way they've helped me is great as well. It's been completely different from the way it worked at Dundee. I'm not saying different in a better way, but they deal with kind of, I'd only ever experienced Dundee, so they deal with all the contracts, they deal with everything in terms of, I give them the players that we want, we have the discussion, then they take everything away from me. I don't need to speak to agents, I don't need to do any of that kind of stuff. And then if we get the player, great. If it's above our wage structure, then it just isn't to be for Dunfermline Athletic. But no, the relationships have been really good, and I'm delighted that myself, Dave, and the rest of the staff and the players could repay the board and the owners with a wee bit of success.
One person everyone loves in Scottish football is Jim Leishman. He's an absolute legend. Has he been in touch? He
has. Well, when I signed for Livingston when I was 16 or 17, when I went full time, Jim was a manager. He's forever telling me that he got them promoted and then promoted again. But I took a lot of pride in telling him the other week I was at a dinner with him that I had beat his unbeaten record. So that's one record I've taken from him. But he's an absolute legend at Dunfermline Athletic and what he's done there. He's there every home game. He's at almost every away game as well. He loves the club, and he's someone I've got on with since I was 16, 17. So no, he's still about. His stories are still great. Although he repeats them now and again. Tells me how often he scored that winning goal at Ibrox for Dunfermline and stuff like that. But no, he's an absolute legend at that football club, and he's a big part of it still.
So you've taken a record off him, but you'll be taking street names off him next, and you'll be the provost of Dunfermline in no time.
Well, I'm miles away from that, but no. Jim can keep that. He's too good he's too good to give that up. But no, I'd like to chase another few of his records. That would be nice to rub that into him. But no, there are plenty of records that Jim holds up at the club. He was fantastic for Dunfermline.
If you want to listen to more of this sort of thing, leave a wee review on the platform you listen to all your favourite podcasts. But that's it for another Scottish Football Show. Bye for now.